Our first speaker is a great friend of the IEA and myself personally. Martin Durkin is a TV producer and a documentary filmmaker. In the Times 2014 Power List, he was called the Michael Moore of the right. He is the founder and CEO of WAG TV, which produces shows for various US and international broadcasters. He's won various prizes for his wonderful films over the years, but tells us he is most proud to have won the Free Enterprise Award given him recently by the Institute of Economic Affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a great friend of freedom, Mr. Martin Durkin.
So my daughter recently started, one of my daughters, recently started a course in political economy at King's, that fantastic course, which I'm very, very envious of. And in the first week, brilliant, Pennington's here. Well, I just wish I was on it. On the first week, she gives me a ring and said, Daddy, they want me to write an essay on corruption. What's that got to do with political economy? And what am I going to write? And I said, oh, my dear, swivel of the chair, look at the bookshelves with all the IEA pamphlets on there. I reach forward, yes, here's the one on corruption. There is, not to copy exactly, otherwise you'll get caught, obviously, but nevertheless, there is an IEA pamphlet on pretty much everything. Palm oil, adoption, the high-speed gravy train, the titles are getting better and better, and all that Chris Snowden lifestyle stuff about how we should be allowed to pick our noses and grow mustaches, and there's just every narrowly focused, beautifully researched, lucidly argued, great stuff. No one can beat us. The bigger picture stuff, the more visionary stuff, the broader scope stuff, all that traditionally has been, the left has been better at that. And in fact, not very long ago, I went to a bookshop and went to that section that all of us lot go to that no one else goes to, the stuff with the really boring books on, sort of political economy and all the rest of it. And sure enough, they were shelf after shelf of Marxism and Keynesianism with huge, great, lovely, expansive titles, you know, Who Owns the Future, No Logo, and, you know, Bankers are Bastards, and how to throw bricks at coppers, and just shelf after shelf after shelf of everything. So where is the alternative vision that a student from King's can go into and see? And I looked for, and I did find a single volume, a gleaming hope, one bright light that can turn young minds in another direction. And it was Alan Clark's Diaries. I thought, fucking Diaries of a Randy Toff. And, you know, and I did look at it, actually. It's still really engaging, sort of, come here, Mabel, oh, Sir Alan, you are a one, and all of that sort of thing. Here was a man who was attracted to Thatcher mainly because he fancied her. And this was the one volume on there. And I know what you'll say, oh, well, we've got more than that. And we always mention the same ones. We say, you know, we've got Alan Smith's Wealth of Nations. History would have gone in a completely different course if it had been Alan Smith's Wealth of Nations. Smith's Wealth of Nations. We've got, you know, the Road to Serfdom, Hayek. We always mention the same one. And indeed, when Marianne was going off to King's, I said, you'll be needing this. This will tell you everything you need to know. And she sort of rolls her eyes and she said, but, you know, when were these things written? And, you know, sure enough, Wealth of Nations was published in, who can tell me? 1770s. How sad is that, you know? And Road to Serfdom, when was that published? 1944. I mean, you know, there aren't enough of these books, and they're too old. And although the principles are the same, the conditions have changed. Wealth of Nations was written when we're still riding around on kangaroos and sleeping with our mothers and things like that. Road to Serfdom, that was the great battle was with fascism. Von Mises' socialism, that was when the Russian Revolution had happened. And I was saying to Marianne, look, this is a great delicate. This fascism was really. She says, I know that fascism's wrong. You know, I sort of get that. But what about now? The conditions have changed. They've even changed since Thatcher's time, when the problem was everything was nationalised. And, you know, we pat ourselves on the back because, well, I mean, I didn't do it, but whoever did it, you know, because that was a battle that was won. But now, the left aren't necessarily going to nationalise everything, and yet the state as a proportion of GDP, I think, David, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is bigger now than it was then when everything was bleeding nationalised. The shape changes. The left is a kind of shape-changing thing, and we need to change with it. The irony is, the big vision stuff should really be ours, because they are hopeless at it. The left, the anti-capitalists, are absolutely abysmal at it. You remember all those sort of films they used to make about the future and would all have flying cars and all the rest of it. But if you pin down a green socialist and say, right, what is the exciting utopian vision that you're going to give? You get 5p for a plastic bag. It would be good if the government debt was even higher. More welfare. I mean, I come from the northeast. I mean, the idea that more welfare, I think that will crack the nut in the north. We should be prohibited from trading with people internationally. There should be more regulation over our lives. We should have smaller houses. You read this Richard Rogers stuff. We should have smaller houses. We should have no cars, and we should take fewer foreign holidays. I mean, what kind of exciting, thrilling vision of the future is that? I mean, the new socialism amounts to a pokey council flat, a shared bicycle, and an annual holiday in Morecambe. I mean, it's fucking awful. So, but what have we got? Well, we have got world poverty has been cut in half in the last 20 years. I mean, think of that. And that's because China and India have embraced free markets. If socialism had done that, we wouldn't have heard the end of it. Piketty would be on the telly every night. He would have done a mathematical calculation to prove that it was all down to him. Corbyn would be constantly saying, look at this, socialism has halved world poverty in 20 years. And we would have real difficulty arguing. And I would think, oh, that's pretty damn good. Whereas, as it happens, it was done by free markets. And what do? We kind of shuffle around and modestly say, oh, well, we thought that was going to happen, actually. If you deregulate, it's terribly good, and all that sort of thing. No. It's time that we started thinking big. We started thinking the visionary thing. We started being really ambitious. The IEA has got increasingly ambitious over the last few years in a really thrilling way. And I've been saying, let's do that, think big. And now, happily, we're thinking really big. So we're going to sew all those IEA brochures together and turn it into a huge moral, political, economic argument, a visionary argument for a better tomorrow, and it'll be digital and it'll be all the works. So I hope you'll get behind this initiative like me. Thank you.